Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga video. And today we have the top 16 archetype breakdown from Monroeville, the Grand Open that just concluded this past weekend. And I know there's a lot of Rex, there's a lot of Axebiter. We don't have to talk about those too long, but the thing that I do want to talk about, which is super hype, and for the first time in Battle Spirits Saga history, again, not counting the launch events, that's my small disclaimer all I had here, we have the first two-time champion in Battle Spirits Saga with Caleb Albert. Yes, you might know him as the Pro Tour champ, got second place in Tulsa, and then first place again here in Monroeville. This guy is absolutely crushing it in the meta right now, and it is, of course, with their favorite deck, Axebiter. And I did have a little chance to talk to him at the dinner one night, and he was talking about, it's nice to win, but it's getting a little bit tired of playing with Axebiter. But hey, you've won $35,000 in cash prizing. That's got to help at least a little bit. But with that out of the way, let's dig into the list themselves. So again, up first, we have Caleb, the first two-time, very exciting. And speaking of twos, we have two King Vultures main deck. We really are not about losing the depths minigame with this list. And I know some of the Axebiter lists have kind of varied about, do we have Enterprise main? Do we have some number of King Vultures, right? But generally speaking, a lot of the lists have come around to, let's just really have the Machine Beast be a major focus of this, where you're now seeing 3 or 4 of the copies of the Fortress City, which gets the triple reduction for Machine Beast, as well as 3 or 4 of the Machine Beast Aegis himself to get that heal, get that card draw as you're starting to whittle down your resources. And of course, the triple elk here. This is very much the I do not want to play the mirror all day long sort of thing. And it clearly worked out for them. And as someone who played in this event, played through the rounds, I played Axebiter 4 of my 7 rounds. There was just that much Axebiter in the event, and I really wish we did have a total field breakdown of how many people were on Axebiter, but again, we had 90 some odd people, but there was, at least from the top tables, as we were walking around, as I was trying to see what people were playing, there was a lot, to say the least. So I wouldn't be surprised if in top 32, there was a few more. I had some friends who were also at the event. A lot of them were playing Axebiter and either got top 32 or they went down to 34 and 35. So they're also going to get a Pro Tour invite, assuming we get pass downs and all that stuff. So again, I said in the last video, or 2 videos ago now, and I'm just going to say it again, right? In this format, if you just want that invite, and it might not be the most fun deck to play, just play Axebiter, get your invite, go to the Pro Tour. It's pretty simple and very clear at this point that Axebiter is the best deck in the format, and as long as you put in the reps with it, and as long as you understand the matchups, you will get insanely rewarded for it. And, hopefully, if you don't have to sit across from Caleb anytime soon, or else there's going to be some boss music starting to play. This man, again, has been on an absolute tear through the last couple months of just competitive events, going, again, all the way back to the Pro Tour. But now we get a little bit of a break until the European Pro Tour, which is going to be at the end of October, where we might get a ban list, we might not get a ban list. Who knows? Hopefully, if we do get one, it's going to be updated in early October so we can all start testing for it and figure out how the meta is going to shift, right? There's been a lot of conversations of, does depths get hit? If we hit something out of red, what does that look like? Are we hitting depths and Axebiter, right? Literally nobody knows. I think at this point, because Bandai is getting data from top 16 and top 30, all the way down to top 32, if I'm not mistaken, there is going to be a lot of internal discussions. I'm absolutely positive about Axebiter and depths in particular, because at this point, we have 3 very, very strong tournaments reporting all the same things that, hey, this needs to be looked at the very least. And of course, we got the dev update a few weeks ago on the Friday when they announced it. So otherwise, again, huge shout out to Caleb. Amazing job on doing the first 2-time for Battle Spirits Saga. And again, we're just looking at an entirely stacked top 8 kind of across the board, and who showed up. Obviously, a lot of other top 8s and top 16 players that have coming to each of the events. They've been doing a lot of traveling. So to no surprise, we have Alex, the greatest, as he likes to put in his Discord name, Blanded, who made top 4 with Terrasaurs. And of course, this is where I have to give a shout out to the Church of Penton podcast that we're going to be recording later today. So the video goes out tomorrow. But I am, of course, by no means a red expert. John Tata also got top 4 with Terrasaurs. Technically, based on the placings, and because Alex got 3rd and way it all falls, yada, 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 Alex gets his name here. But right, True Duelist came up to the event, rolled up with Terrasaurs. 3 out of the 4 of them made top 16. I think Anton as well was just outside of 32 or just in 32, if I remember correctly. So, you know, these guys, when they're on Terrasaurs, I mean, they're all cylinders firing. Like, these guys are insane when they get to play Terrasaurs. But the one kind of thing that you'll notice is a little different here is the 4 of Arcana Jokers main deck. We are really just saying, hey, we have to respect Axebiter. We need those unblockable bits of damage. This goes all the way back to the launch event, mind you, where many Rex players were main decking 2 Derm Dyna. So it's not too far from what we would expect to see in this type of list, in any type of more aggressive strategy that really needs that last point of damage to close out the games. But Arcana Joker being the full 4 of, I think really just speaks to the format health overall. But again, we will be recording the podcast later tonight where we'll let John kind of take the spotlight and talk about their top 4 finish, as well as kind of how the team eventually came around to this type of deck, which again, it's Terrasaurs, so no surprise to them, right? They are very well known for playing Terrasaurs, but namely the 4 of Arcana Joker main deck, just to really respect the Axebiter matchup. So look forward to that tomorrow when we get a chance to get that video out. And then again, just continuing on with how stacked this top 8 and top 16 was looking. We have Ryan Matas with the purple tempo, or, you know, trying to find the best name for this list in general. But truth be told, again, this was kind of it really boils down to Worker Ant-Man is just an insane card that allows for some plays that a lot of decks can't line up with efficiently, because you keep that parity around core resources where things like Thorn Prison and Dream Bomb just let you get in those last couple chips of damage that you really need. But of course, beyond that, Maduke just being a huge role player in the current format, because if you're not doing the unblockable damage against Axebiter, right, you do need to have some type of life burn, which we are going to see in the lore set with the new red X-ray, I guess not X-ray, but full art, right? With the Lord Worm Dragon, we're going to have most likely something in set 3 that brings about that life burn effect, or we're just going to have mill, to be fair, right? So other ways to get around that kind of inevitability that white is going to have to stall off the games. That is kind of white's identity at the end of the day. They are meant to be the wall-up color. They are meant to be the boring snooze fest, hide behind an elk a lot of times style of deck. You get the idea. That's not going anywhere, but we will get more ways to kind of play around and beat out the suppression into Infinity Shield, into Ice Shield, right? That will eventually kind of work itself out. Blue being the biggest one, of course, right around the corner in just, 6 weeks at the time recording this, or some short amount of time. Then, of course, when we get more burn effects like the Worm Dragon that we're getting in the lore set, that is a thing that's very common in red, so look forward to that as well. But Maduke, most likely, because of the way the format is, I don't see Maduke going anywhere. Blood Curse itself being very strong, and when you don't have that direct life burn damage, it says, okay, well, now you either have to swing, you lose a life because you took the damage, or you block and you lose a life to Blood Curse, right? And it does require a bit of setup, but with Worker Ant-Man, you're able to apply those cores to Maduke much more easily, of getting her up to the 6 core requirement that she has. That I think that this just is a very solid list kind of going forward. And even if we were to speculate for a post-depth span, I still really like this list as well, right? Rotting Swamp just does so much for you and lets you get that card draw economy that you really want out of purple. And of course, there are some actually other good purple Nexus that we can just play then, because we want to be looking into the core removal side of things, or if you want to play core control, or we have the ones where if like they're not block, you can strip cores that way. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we can do in purple once we get beyond the what does depths do for the format sort of thing, that I'm really excited to see how this list in particular plays out. Now, I will say, when you go to Eggman's website and you look at the other top 8 and top 16 lists, you will see a couple other purple, green, or just purple good stuff style of decks. And I'll add the disclaimer here, as I try to do for all these videos. I am just trying to showcase the overall archetypes in this video. And if you want to see every single list, then go to Eggman's website, just to save myself the time and the breath and all that good stuff. But the lists themselves were similar enough, with a couple different card changes that I'd really felt like, just based on how I've recorded the other videos and how similar they were overall, I really just got to give the shout out to Ryan, because they were the highest placing of this type of archetype overall. All this one is more, very much tempo focused, for lack of a better word, where the other ones were kind of, mid-range, if not full control style of builds. But a lot of times you have the Beldegors, you have the Maduke, you have the Cursed Dragons, you have the Black Lances, you have the Depths, right? A lot of that does kind of feed into itself, kind of build over build, where purple is now slowly gravitating back to that set 1 problem that we talked about, where it's just purple good stuff, you throw it all together and you have a deck, right? Where at least in set 2, you have these green variants, you have a little bit of the different colors that are playing a role in it, but ultimately we still see like the 10 unique cards of purple that are kind of all coming together and are really being the glue for the deck itself. And then the one that I know most people are going to be excited about when you see that top pie chart and you see that little bit of Nova hope hanging out there. We got top 16 with Damon Beachman. And I got to say, this one was really nice to see, right? So again, the worker Ant-Man, I can't stress enough. This card's just gas, 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 gas. Definitely like top 5 cards, top 3 cards of set 2, and for what it allows you to pull off. And I really like here as well the nod for Peggy Sion just to get that blocker that you really need early on to help establish your turns, because Nova does take a little time to pull together, right? We do have the Big Bang combo, we do have the Nova, we have the Seaworm, all that good stuff. The new Meteor Seaworm is obviously a huge pickup for this deck in general. And then you'll also notice we have the 2 Cursed Dragon main to just try to break up the armor chains that you might see from Enterprise. And then, of course, going into the full sideboard option here as well with the 2 Curse, or the 2 Baculus and 1 extra Curse Dragon to go into a 3-2 split. Just trying to be respectful of those decks that are, you know, more mid-game or late-game strategies where a Curse combo can really set them back overall. But this one notably is less on the Star Dragon all-in focus that we've seen for some of the other Nova decks that have made top 16, and more of just like a Nova good stuff to try to get into the eventual Nova play. And I think if we go back to like the red-green showcase video that we showcased on the channel, right, getting some more ideas from that as well. So I'm really curious to see how this evolves. Like, do you think the all-in Star Dragons variant is better, or do you think Nova is meant to be just more of a, you know, an end note to these mid-range and controlled style of strategies that we see out of the big red archetype, right? For lack of a better word, because that's the coin that has been used in Magic the Gathering. But overall, love this list. It's always hyped to see a Nova list make top 16 because, you know, it is the poster child of the game. It's going to continue to get support. We know that they're going to be a Nova revival, if not in set 3, absolutely in set 4, where it's already confirmed to come back with a double symbol Nova, which is kind of scary, but I'm curious to see where that lands in terms of, you know, how do they balance the double symbols? Is it just going to be a very strong effect, right? I am super, super excited to see where set 4 goes. And then, of course, last but not least is, well, the green deck. Yay! This is one that, if you've been following the channel for a while, again, I just did the video on it, so I won't spend too much time talking about my own list again, but I just loved where green landed in this set in particular. I love the armor tree variant, but over time, and again, because of some of the discussions that happened in the Discord, and kind of like the overall community groupthink that happened around this archetype in general, it unfortunately ultimately came back that Armor Tree just didn't have enough of a payoff for it. So where you just want to be more mindful of, let's just play the green Swift stuff. And yeah, Beldegor should be cut all the way back to like a 2 or 3 of, and there's a couple other green cards I wanted to add in, which I talked about in another video. But generally speaking, I did go against Axebiter, as I said, 4 rounds total. I went 3-1 overall. Durm, Dyna, and Elfin are just very, very good. And then against other decks, you are able to just open the lines where, like my round 1 match, you have Worker Ant-Man into Butterfly, into Aldeed to get more damage into Thorn Prison, and I truly can't stress enough how extremely relevant the on-attack, ramp 1 core, pre-block flash priority is just abused to hell in this kind of deck, and I absolutely love it for that because it is more of the let me have my resource and then I get to have this very strong flash effect where, yes, it does make you open up to some Burning Force plays now and again, but generally speaking, because Worker Ant-Man can very easily get to 4K and Aldeed can also be 4K at 1 core, you can line up turns where you don't always open yourself up to Burning Force when you are playing like that Dream Bomb or Thorn Prison to help clear the way. So there's definitely more tweaking I want to do with this list, and I've already talked about it several times, but I'm pretty confident this is what I'm going to be playing for the European Pro Tour. Obviously, it's going to look quite a bit different depending on what ban list news might look like, but this shell plus Tokiwa, I am like 100% sure is insane, and that's what I'm going to be testing starting, you know, the 29th or whatever that Friday is at the end of the month when the lore set is available, because it is just so fun. Like, this is, for me, the most enjoyable list I've played in all the set 2 lists that I've been brewing together, just because of how the different lines that you can pull off with it, and then just how important it is to have like the Swift value and then the Airborne Crag, making them a 4K to dodge Burning Force again, right? Multi-attacks with Beldegor. It just does a lot in the format that I really wanted to do out of yellow that this just does better. Again, I think the red matchup is probably going to be pretty awful unless you're able to just get under them and have like insane worker Ant-Man into Thorn Prison plays into having more ice shields than your opponent. And right, so Scoop Owl also does a lot there where it can block one and then tap something else down, right? Scoops and Thorn Prisons are really the core of how you probably survive that matchup, but ultimately because they have things like Gigano Rex, because they have Scorched Battlefield and they're able to outvalue way more than you can with the draw effects, I think overall it's just going to be rough. And then notably, we are playing a lot of when summoned, so Star Blessed Draw just kind of eats us for dinner, and there's nothing we can do about that at the end of the day. So that is my green list. I absolutely love it. I definitely say try it out your locals. It was an absolute blast to play. So with that, we have the recap here at the end. Yes, a lot of Axebiter, a lot of Terrasaur, but there was some good stuff that did appear in the rest of top 16. And again, there was like some luster decks in top 32, and there was a yellow-purple control deck that was like 24th. There was a lot of really cool stuff, to be completely honest, that either just lost its win in or just fell out of top 16 because of breakers. So I will say, yes, there is a point here where Axebiter and Terrasaur do need to be looked at in terms of the overall meta impact, but there are still a lot of sweet brews out there that, you know, just one round different would have made them into a top cut appearance, that I think there is still more to be explored in this format. And it was so refreshing for me personally, again, as someone who's playing this game, as a content creator, as someone who wants to talk about deck lists and all that stuff, to see the innovation that I got to see at Monroeville and what was actually doing well later in the rounds and still at the top table. So I think there's a lot of good here that's kind of, again, just overshadowed by the two boogeymen in the format, but I really do hope that when we get a little bit of a shakeup, if we do get a ban list that can maybe give us a bit more breathing room, we can see more of that creativity really start to shine, because, again, it was super cool to see things like all the yellow decks really doing well. There were some green ramp decks that were doing well into the final rounds. Like, there was just more out there that I would love to showcase on the channel when we can, and if we get to see it happen in more events. So looking to you, the rest of the world, for the rest of the grand opens that we have coming up. Obviously, Glasgow is this weekend, and then it's Chile, and then there's one more I'm totally blanking, the Australia one, right? Or I think it's Glasgow, Australia, Chile is the order, if I'm not mistaken. But 3 more grand opens to go. Will Axe and Rex dominate the format and continue to be the MVPs, as it were? Or are we going to see a shakeup that will hopefully, you know, kind of rejuvenate what we think to be the top 8 or top 16 cuts? Definitely let me know your comments below. But with that, my friends, as always, more to look forward to later this week. But until then, stay safe, stay hydrated, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.